running for Senate against Mark Kelly, the Democratic incumbent. Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. I'll start with you, Mr. Attorney General, because you did something quite interesting. And the Supreme Court recently upheld that Arizona's voting rules that restrict ballot harvesting and the submission of provisional ballots outside of one's home precinct. This was a big win, and for the court to finally take it up, to me it was a little too late, but a big win. A tip of the hat to you, sir.
Thank you, Sean, for having me on. And I think the importance of that case is it was a 6-3 decision, and I argued it, is that the Supreme Court recognizes that election integrity measures, common sense measures, are okay. They're consistent with the Constitution, and the Constitution recognizes that states can set time, place, and manner statutes regarding how elections are conducted. That's what the Constitution provides for. And the reality is, as you pointed out in your beginning, is that the left is so hypocritical. We literally just argued another case last week where the Democrats challenged our laws on ballot curing. Basically, if you don't sign your ballot, you have to do so by election day. There are states like New York, Connecticut, and the Northeast that don't allow any curing at all. Is the DNC suing them? Is Biden calling them out? No, because his rhetoric is basically about dividing this country. And I think we all agree that common sense election integrity measures are good, not only for Arizona, but for America.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, they're calling this the worst challenge to our democracy since the Civil War. You're a historian. I think you'll take issue with that. Then they're insulting people that live in rural communities. They're saying it's an assault on democracy, an assault on liberty, and they're calling it Jim Crow. I don't know. Great irony when I compared your home state of Georgia and their voting law with Delaware. It is far more restrictive in Delaware and far more accessible in your state of Georgia.
Well, and you're certainly technically correct, but of course that's not what this is about. This isn't about facts. This is about a narrative, and I'm going to surprise you on 2 counts. First of all, I don't know how many people picked up on this, but we ought to start talking about Vice President Kinko Harris. Kinko's went out of business 13 years ago. I mean, this is a woman totally out of touch with reality. A lot of people worry about President Biden and his cognitive abilities. Well, you ought to watch her for a week. She literally cited Kinko's. Kinko's has not been in existence for 13 years. And I know that's a tricky thing if you're from California, but still, I think it tells you a lot about who they are. They don't know anything. They're not in touch with reality. They make it up as they go along. But I'm going to shock you. I agree with the president. This is the greatest threat to the survival of freedom since the Civil War. They are determined to use the power of the federal government. They're determined to destroy the American military by bringing wokeness in. They're determined to weaken the police while strengthening criminals. They're determined to use the Justice Department. They're determined to side with oligarchs in censoring Americans. I believe this is the greatest threat, domestic threat, not counting the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany, the greatest domestic threat the United States has faced to freedom since the Civil War, and the threat is entirely in the Democratic Party, and it is a mortal threat, and if they get their way, if they can pass the Corrupt Politicians Act, you will see them steal everything they need to steal.
It is amazing the rhetoric that they're using. Jim Crow 2.0, the worst since the Civil War. Do you think they're successful? We have about 30 seconds each. Mr. Attorney General, we'll start with you.
No, I think that it's dangerous for the President of the United States to use that kind of rhetoric. He ran as someone who said he was going to be middle of the road, and instead he's putting this country on the highway to hell. As the Speaker just indicated, they are shredding the Constitution, and we need to stand up now because who knows when our liberties will be able to be saved again.
The polls show, Mr. Speaker, you've read a lot of polls in your many years, that this is an 80-20 issue here. This is not even close. People want these simple integrity measures put in place, and we need them.
But here's the problem you've got. Freedom in Cuba is probably an 80-20 issue. That doesn't mean the Cuban government won't shoot enough people to slow it down. Freedom in Venezuela is probably a 90-10 issue. The fact is, these people, the Bidens, the Harrises, the Schumers, the Pelosi's. They're corrupting the military. They're corrupting the entire system. And they will do whatever they have to try to dominate us and to dominate all of the American people and impose their radical values. This is the greatest threat to the United States since the Civil War.
That's scary, Mr. Speaker, especially with your knowledge of history. Thank you.
It is.
Mr. Attorney General, good luck in your Senate race. We're following that very closely against Mark Kelly out in Arizona. Important race for the country.